Hey, turn that thing up.
Okay, so Cathie, can you tell us what what is the vision that you see for a church where men and women can work together better? What is God calling us to be and do that maybe we're not quite there yet?
Right. Well, I think first of all is to understand that this is a question that is heavily layered and it's very nuanced. I think we have to have a sense of where we're both coming from when we are saying working together. Is there equal value on the we, both the male component and the female component?
Right.
And I think the challenge is anything that's, at all polarizing, like, you know, what do we believe about the value of women? Are we egalitarian, meaning, that we fully support women in all their gifting, or complementarian, where women are meant to support, the gifts of men? And then understand that there's like shades of gray in between. There's so many places to land on this, and to understand that it's nuanced, that it's not black and white. I think it's the first thing, because I think sometimes we just want to provide, here's the solution. You
Right.
need to think this way or that way, and it's not like that. My question is always, so how do we live, like as men and women together, so the church can flourish? How do we co-labor better together in this sort of gray environment? And I'm reminded of Ephesians 5:27, which says in the NASB, that he might present to himself the church in all her glory. Well, that's interesting. The church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she would be holy and blameless. And in the NIV, we're called the radiant church, men and women together, radiant church. And the context of this passage follows the narrative of how males and females are to be in mutual submission to each other. So I think before you get to how are we going to actually play this out, you have to start to explore what you actually believe, where you sit on this continuum. You know, are women as valuable as men? If they are, why do you believe that? What does Scripture say about that? If you don't believe they are, well, why is that? And be able to hold a position, because then clarity is kindness, right?
Yeah.
So understand what you believe. And but I do believe that even in the description of the church in all her glory, God creates space for the feminine expression of his nature and his character. And, women were first at the cradle, last at the cross. They've always been part of the story, and we are still part of the story. But sometimes we've been rendered invisible both by our own choices, about our worth, and both by the lack of opportunity or invitation into the church. So I do believe that if we look at the narrative of Jesus, he values the voice and contributions of women, but he also values the voice and contributions of men. He values the voice and contributions of both men and women. And so if we can take sort of the life and the actions of Jesus as our final model, as the final word on this, then it opens up so many opportunities, for us to say, well, maybe we need to start by taking the temperature of our environment. I mean, Jesus lived in an environment that was so patriarchal and so, diminishing to women's role, not only in the church, but in society. They had very limited options, but yet he saw them, he found them, he went out of his way, and he created opportunities for some of them to be the first, the first evangelist, the
Yep.
first woman to see him and then go tell the other disciples. He created these unique spaces, these little pockets where women actually were, in starring roles. And so in our cultures, where are we providing those pockets for women? Or are they largely invisible? Do we have not only representation, but have we invited to their gifts? Are the women, are we stewarding the gifts of women in our congregations or ministry environments? And the second thing is to really overly compensate for the lack of development in the female church to this point in our collective
Right.
history
We
of
have
the
some
church.
catching up to do.
We have some catching up to do, and that's okay. That's not, there's no shame or attached to it. It's just historically, this is the way the world has gone. We understand that, now we can overinvest, and I don't believe there's such thing as over investing. I don't think you can invest enough in, the gifts and the calling of a woman, and provide her the opportunity for her to kind of act that out, gain confidence in that in church environment. And then again, the third thing is just creating a culture that is gift based rather than gender based. Saying we see what God has seeded in you. We want to develop that with you, and we want you to use that for the service of this local congregation or this ministry, because then we are all better when you've been given an opportunity to contribute what only you can in the way that only you can.
All right. Thank you, Cathie.
You're welcome.